Most people believe that a lack of discipline is a character flaw, a weak, shameful trait, something that some people have and others do not. However, this view is completely misguided. What few people know is that discipline, as it's generally understood, goes against the way the human brain is designed to operate. And this is not a metaphor. It's a neurobiological fact. The brain did not evolve to prioritize long-term goals, abstract targets, or heroic self-control. It evolved, for one thing, immediate survival. Over millions of years, humans adapted to conserve energy, seek quick rewards, and avoid any unnecessary effort. In other words, your brain does not want you to go to the gym. It wants you to stay on the couch because that saves energy. It does not want you to study. It wants you to scroll TikTok because dopamine comes faster. And this is not a defect, it's simply biology. But modern society demands the opposite. To thrive, we're expected to be disciplined, productive, consistent. And this creates an internal conflict. The question is brutal. Are you fighting a war you can never win? Or is there a way to make your brain work for you instead of against you? Chapter 1. The Rise. Sofia's Breaking Point, Boston, Massachusetts, 2019. Sofia Martinez sat in her apartment at 11 p.m. staring at her laptop screen, the same paragraph she'd been trying to write for 3 hours, still unfinished. 28 years old. PhD candidate in neuroscience at MIT, brilliant mind, top of her undergraduate class. Research published in respected journals. But tonight, like most nights, she was paralyzed. Not by lack of knowledge, not by lack of intelligence, but by something she couldn't name, something that made her hate herself a little more each day. Procrastination. She'd wake up every morning with plans. Today would be different. Today she'd finish the literature review. Today she'd analyze the data. Today she'd finally make progress on her dissertation. But by 10 a.m., she'd already spent an hour scrolling through social media. By noon, she'd convinced herself she needed a break before she'd even started. By evening, the guilt was crushing, and by night, she was exactly where she started, staring at a blank screen, hating herself. "What's wrong with me?" she whispered to the empty room. Everyone else seemed to handle it. Her colleagues worked late into the night. Her advisor published papers like clockwork. Other PhD students maintained discipline, consistency, progress. But Sofia, she felt like a fraud, brilliant on paper, pathetic in practice. The worst part wasn't the lack of progress. It was the shame, the constant internal monologue. If you just had more willpower, if you just tried harder, if you just cared more. She'd tried everything: motivational videos, productivity apps, time management systems, morning routines. She'd even seen a therapist who suggested she might have ADHD. Nothing worked, or rather, everything worked, for about 3 days. Then she'd crash back into the same patterns. Tonight was different only in one way. She'd finally admitted defeat. Sofia pulled out her phone, opened her notes app, and typed, "I am undisciplined. I am weak. I will never finish this PhD. I should quit." Her finger hovered over the delete button, but before she could press it, a notification popped up. An email from Dr. James Harrison, a professor she'd met at a conference. Subject line: "Thought you might find this interesting." Attached was a book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. The message was simple. "Sofia, you're not undisciplined. You're just trying the wrong way. Read this. It changed how I understand human behavior completely. J.H." Sofia almost deleted it. Another self-help book. Another promise that would lead nowhere. But something made her click. Maybe desperation, maybe curiosity, maybe the fact that Dr. Harrison was a neuroscientist who'd never mentioned self-help before. She downloaded it, started reading at 11:15 p.m. By 2 a.m., her entire worldview had shattered. Chapter 2. The Principle. Your brain is not broken. The first chapter of Claire's book hit Sofia like a truck. The brain is not interested in your long-term goals. It is focused on survival, comfort, and energy efficiency. Sofia stopped reading, read it again and again. Her entire life, she'd been fighting against something she thought was a personal failing. But what if it wasn't personal at all? What if it was universal? She kept reading, and Claire laid out the brutal truth. For most of human evolution, our ancestors lived in environments where resource scarcity was the norm. The only priority was surviving until the next day. In that scenario, the brain adapted to prioritize immediate rewards. Eating now was more important than storing for later. Sleeping was safer than exposing yourself to risks. Avoiding effort meant conserving energy for critical moments. The brain was calibrated, generation after generation, to seek the quickest, most pleasurable, and least costly path. And that software still runs today. When you try to wake up early to exercise, your brain interprets this as a threat to comfort and energy conservation. When you open your laptop to work, it immediately suggests scrolling social media, because there, pleasure is instant, predictable, guaranteed. Going to the gym, reading technical papers, writing chapters, that requires effort without immediate reward. The brain hates that. Sofia sat back, mind racing. This explained everything. Why motivation faded, why willpower crumbled, why she could intellectually know what she should do but emotionally resist doing it. Her brain wasn't rational. It was efficient. It didn't choose what was best long-term. It chose what required less energy right now. Claire called this cognitive ease, the brain's tendency to always choose the path of least resistance, and this choice wasn't conscious. It happened before you even decided. Sofia felt something shift. For the first time in years, she didn't feel broken. She felt enlightened. The problem wasn't lack of willpower. It was a design conflict. Her brain wanted to survive and feel good now. She wanted to evolve and grow later. And as long as these two goals weren't reconciled, she'd keep feeling frustrated, tired, unsuccessful. She kept reading through the night, and Claire delivered line after line that felt like revelation. Motivation is overrated. Environment is more important. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. When you're tired, your brain goes back to autopilot, and the autopilot always chooses the easiest path. By 4 a.m., Sofia had filled an entire notebook with insights. Her hand cramped from writing. Her eyes burned from reading. But her mind felt clearer than it had in years. She finally understood. She'd been trying to win a war against her own biology, and you can't win that war through force, but you can win it through design. The question shifted from, how do I become more disciplined? To, how do I design a system where discipline becomes inevitable? As dawn light filtered through her window, Sofia made a decision. Not a motivational decision that would fade by noon. A systematic decision that would change everything. She would rebuild her entire environment, her habits, her identity, not through willpower, but through architecture. When Sofia discovers Claire's framework and realizes discipline isn't character, it's design, the revelation itself becomes the invitation to this way of thinking, subtly positioning the gentleman philosopher as the source of such truths. Chapter 3. The Test. The First 30 Days. Sofia started small, dangerously small, almost embarrassingly small. Claire's book emphasized one crucial point. Start so small you can't say no. So instead of write dissertation chapter, her first habit was open laptop and write one sentence. That's it. One sentence. Then she could stop. The first day felt ridiculous. She sat down, wrote. The amygdala's role in fear processing has been extensively documented. Done. Habit complete. But something weird happened. After writing one sentence, she wrote another. then another. Before she knew it, she'd written 3 paragraphs. Not because she forced herself, because momentum is easier than initiation. Claire explained this in the book. The hardest part isn't doing the work, it's starting. Once you're in motion, inertia works in your favor. Sophia applied this everywhere. Instead of go to gym, her habit became put on workout clothes. Once dressed, going became easier than staying home. Instead of read research papers, her habit became open one paper and read the abstract. Once open, curiosity often pulled her deeper. Instead of eat healthy, she redesigned her environment. Healthy food at eye level, junk food in hard-to-reach places, making good choices the path of least resistance. By week 2, patterns emerged. Sophia wasn't becoming more disciplined. She was becoming more systematic. But week 3 tested everything. Her advisor scheduled an unexpected meeting. Emergency family situation. 3 deadlines collided. Stress maxed out. The old Sophia would have collapsed, would have used stress as an excuse to abandon all habits, binge Netflix, order takeout, spiral into guilt. But the new Sophia had built something different, systems that worked even on bad days. Because she designed her habits to be so small, so integrated into existing routines, that abandoning them required more effort than maintaining them. When stress hit, she didn't write brilliant paragraphs. She wrote her 1 sentence. When exhausted, she didn't run 5 miles. She put on her workout clothes and did 10 minutes. The system protected her from herself. And here's what she noticed. Those tiny actions during bad days prevented the spiral. 1 sentence kept her connected to her dissertation. 10 minutes of movement prevented the fog that came from complete inactivity. By day 30, Sophia had more consistent progress than any month in the previous 2 years. Not because she'd become superhuman. Because she'd stopped trying to be superhuman. She'd accepted her brain's biology and worked with it instead of against it. Chapter 4. Philosophical Psychology. The 4 Laws That Change Everything. Month 2. Sophia went deeper into the science. Claire's framework wasn't just practical. It was based on decades of behavioral psychology, neuroscience, and evolutionary biology. He laid out the 4 laws of behavior change, the fundamental principles that make habits stick. Law for 1. Make it obvious. The brain responds to cues. What's visible is what gets done. What's hidden gets forgotten. Sophia applied this ruthlessly. Dissertation materials spread across her desk, impossible to ignore. Workout clothes laid out the night before. Healthy snacks at eye level, phone in a drawer during work hours, invisible, forgotten. The neuroscience was clear. Your brain's reticular activating system, RAS, filters information based on what's salient and visible. If the cue for a good habit is hidden, your brain literally doesn't register it as an option. Law sub 2. Make it attractive. The brain is driven by dopamine, the anticipation of reward, not the reward itself. Sophia learned to bundle temptations. She could only watch her favorite show while doing data entry, boring task bundled with pleasure. She could only drink her expensive coffee after writing her morning sentence. This leveraged the Premack principle. High probability behaviors can reinforce low probability behaviors. Her brain began associating work with rewards, creating positive anticipation instead of dread. Latorada 3. Make it easy. Friction kills behavior. The more steps between you and the action, the less likely it happens. Sophia removed friction everywhere. Research database bookmarked, an auto login, writing template preloaded gym bag permanently packed meal prep on Sundays. Healthy eating became easier than ordering out. The 2-minute rule became her mantra. Any habit should take less than 2 minutes to start. The goal isn't to finish. The goal is to begin. Because beginning creates momentum, and momentum creates completion. Law number 4. Make it satisfying. The brain needs immediate gratification to encode the habit loop. Without reward, the behavior doesn't stick. Sofia created immediate rewards, checking off completed sentences on a visual tracker, dopamine hit, celebrating small wins with a victory dance. Embarrassing but effective. Progress journal showing daily consistency, satisfaction from the streak. Modern neuroscience confirms habits stick when they activate the brain's reward circuitry immediately, not just eventually. But Sofia noticed something deeper than techniques. These laws worked because they aligned with how the brain actually functions instead of fighting against it. Every motivational speech she'd ever heard focused on willpower, grit, mental toughness. All traits that require constant energy expenditure. Clear's system required the opposite. Design intelligence. Set up the environment once. Let it do the heavy lifting forever. The Stoics understood this 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He wasn't talking about muscling through obstacles. He was talking about designing your response system so obstacles become triggers for right action. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Identity first, systems second, action third. Sofia realized she'd been doing it backwards her entire life, trying to act her way into a new identity instead of designing an identity that made right action inevitable. Chapter 5. The Transformation. Identity Shift Month 4. Something shifted in how Sofia saw herself. She'd stopped saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined," and started saying, "I'm someone who shows up." Small difference in language, massive difference in psychology. Clear explained this as identity-based habits. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Write one sentence. Vote for, "I'm a writer." Put on workout clothes. Vote for, "I'm someone who moves their body." Choose the salad. Vote for, "I'm someone who respects their health." The votes accumulate, and eventually the identity shifts. Sofia noticed it in unexpected ways. When her advisor asked about progress, she answered with confidence instead of shame. When friends invited her to late-night bar outings, she declined without guilt, not because she was forcing discipline, but because that wasn't who she was anymore. The transformation wasn't motivational, it was structural. Her environment now supported her goals instead of sabotaging them. Her habits ran on autopilot instead of willpower. Her identity aligned with her actions instead of contradicting them. By month 6, Sofia had completed 3 dissertation chapters. Her advisor was shocked. Her colleagues asked what had changed. "Nothing," she said. "I just stopped trying to be disciplined and started designing systems that make discipline inevitable." They didn't understand. And she realized most people never would. Because accepting that discipline is design, not character, requires admitting you've been approaching life wrong. It requires intellectual humility to say, "I've been fighting the wrong battle." Most people would rather keep believing they're weak than admit the system was broken. But Sofia had tasted the truth, and there was no going back. But understanding the system was just the beginning. What Sofia discovered next would reveal why society wants you to believe in willpower. Because people who understand systems become dangerous. During deep training chapter when Sofia discovers the architectural principles. The insight about why society lies about willpower becomes an implicit invitation to join those who see clearly. Chapter 6. Deep Training, the Architecture of Inevitability, Month 8. Sofia had become obsessed with one question. If discipline is design, what does the perfect system look like? She dove deeper into behavioral science, studying not just clear, by the entire lineage of habit researchers: B.J. Fogg, Charles Duhigg, Wendy Wood, Daniel Kahneman. The patterns were identical across all of them. Pattern number 1. Environment beats willpower. Every time a Princeton study Sofia read, students given dorm rooms with gyms in the same building exercised 4x more than students with gyms 2 blocks away. Same students, same motivation, different environment. The conclusion was brutal. Proximity predicts behavior more than intention. Sofia restructured everything based on proximity. Dissertation materials on her desk, 0 steps to start. Laptop blocking apps, pre-installed. Friction on distractions. Meal prep in clear containers at eye level. Healthy eating visible. Phone charging station in different room. Temptation removed. Pattern number 2. Habit stacking creates neural highways. The brain loves routines. Once a behavior becomes automatic, it requires minimal prefrontal cortex activation, the energy-expensive part of the brain. Sofia built stacks. After morning coffee, write 1 sentence. After writing sentence, review yesterday's progress. After reviewing progress, choose today's focus. After choosing focus, start 25-minute work block. Each action triggered the next automatically. No decisions, no willpower, just momentum. Neuroscience explains why. The basal ganglia, autopilot region, encodes habit sequences. Once encoded, they run with minimal conscious effort. Pattern number 3. Identity is the deepest level. But Sofia discovered something even more fundamental than habits or environment. Clear wrote, "The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity." She tested this ruthlessly. Instead of, "I'm trying to exercise," "I'm an athlete," "I should write," "I'm a researcher," "I need to eat better," "I respect my body." The language shift wasn't superficial. It changed her decision-making at the deepest level. When you believe "I'm an athlete," skipping a workout feels like betraying yourself, not just missing a task. When you believe "I'm a researcher," procrastinating feels like violating your identity, not just being lazy. Every action became a vote confirming or denying who you are. And the brain hates cognitive dissonance. Once your identity shifts, your behaviors naturally align to reduce the internal conflict. Sofia had discovered what the Stoics knew. Character is destiny. Not because character is innate, but because identity shapes behavior, and behavior compounds into outcomes. Marcus Aurelius. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. The way of thinking wasn't positive affirmations. It was identity architecture. Pattern number 4. The system must work. On Bad Days Month 10 tested this completely. Sofia's father had a heart attack. She flew home, spent 2 weeks in hospitals, slept maybe 4 hours a night. Stress levels through the roof. Old Sofia would have abandoned everything, but her system was designed for chaos. Her habits were so small, so integrated, that maintaining them required less energy than abandoning them. 1 sentence took 30 seconds, did it in the hospital cafeteria. 10-minute walks happened between visiting hours. Healthy choices were pre-decided, no decision fatigue. The system protected her during the worst moments of her life, not because she was strong, because the architecture was anti-fragile. Nassim Taleb's concept, systems that gain from disorder. Sofia's habits weren't fragile, break under stress, or robust, resist stress. They were anti-fragile. Stress made them more important, not less. When everything fell apart, her tiny habits became anchors. Proof that she hadn't completely lost control. Touchstones of normalcy and chaos. By the time she returned to Boston, she'd maintained her streak. Not perfectly, but consistently. And consistency beats perfection every single time. Chapter 7. The Final Confrontation. The PhD Defense, 14 months after reading Claire's book. Sofia stood outside the conference room where her PhD committee waited. Final defense. Years of work culminating in one presentation. One Q&A session. One decision, pass or fail. The old Sofia would have been paralyzed with anxiety, would have spent the morning in panic, would have doubted everything. The new Sofia felt calm, not because she'd suddenly become confident, but because her system had prepared her without her having to think about it. For 14 months, she'd shown up. One sentence became paragraphs, became chapters, became a complete dissertation. The work was done. The preparation was complete. Not through heroic all-nighters, but through compounding consistency. She walked in, presented for 45 minutes, fielded questions for another hour. The committee deliberated, returned. "Congratulations, Dr. Martinez." She'd passed, but the victory felt different than she expected. Not euphoric, not dramatic, just inevitable. Because it was. The moment she designed the right system, the outcome became predictable. That evening, sitting in her apartment, now organized, structured, optimized for the person she'd become, Sofia reflected on the entire journey. She'd started believing she was broken, undisciplined, weak. She'd discovered she was none of those things. She was just using the wrong strategy, and the right strategy wasn't motivation. It was architecture. She opened her laptop, wrote one final sentence for the day, checked it off her tracker. The streak continued. The system persisted. The identity remained intact. Because that's who she was now, not someone trying to be disciplined. Someone who had designed discipline into her life. Sofia's direct video at the end, explicitly inviting viewers to subscribe to the Gentleman Philosopher, explaining the community being built and the value proposition. Truth over comfort, systems over motivation. Final reveal. The philosophical truth. Why society lies about discipline. But here's the truth that makes this entire story uncomfortable. Society wants you to believe discipline is about willpower, about character, about strength, because if you believe that, you'll blame yourself when you fail. You'll buy more motivational books, attend more seminars, chase more gurus. You'll stay in the cycle of failure, guilt, motivation, failure. But if you understand that discipline is about design, everything changes. You stop being a consumer, you become an architect. You stop relying on external motivation. You build internal systems. You stop fighting your biology. You leverage it. And people who understand systems, they become dangerous. Not through force, through inevitability. James Clear revealed what the Stoics knew, what evolutionary psychologists confirmed, what neuroscience proved. Human behavior follows patterns, and patterns can be designed. Your brain isn't broken, it's ancient software running in a modern world. It prioritizes immediate survival, quick rewards, energy conservation. Fighting that is futile. Designing around it is genius. The 4 laws aren't tricks, they're reality. Make it obvious. Visibility drives attention. Make it attractive. Dopamine drives action. Make it easy. Friction kills behavior. Make it satisfying. Reward encodes habits. When you align these laws with your goals, behavior becomes inevitable instead of aspirational. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't talking about positive thinking. He was talking about locus of control. You can't control whether you feel motivated, but you can control your environment, your cues, your friction points, your reward structures, and when you control those, behavior follows. This is the truth they don't teach in schools. Why? Because it's too empowering. If everyone understood that success is systematic, not heroic, the entire self-help industry collapses. The myth of the genius, the prodigy, the naturally disciplined, all exposed as people who simply designed better systems. Sofia discovered this truth accidentally, but once seen, it cannot be unseen. The question isn't whether you're disciplined. The question is, are you designing systems that make discipline inevitable? Ending. The Philosopher's Lesson. The choice before you 2 years later. Sofia teaches behavioral neuroscience at MIT. Her course, The Architecture of Habit. Students pile in expecting another productivity course. She gives them truth instead. Discipline, she tells them on day 1, is not a virtue, it's a design problem. She shows them her own transformation. PhD candidate paralyzed by procrastination to professor who publishes consistently. Not through motivation, through systems. Your brain, she explains, is 3 pounds of meat optimized for survival in the African savannah 200,000 years ago. It wants immediate rewards, minimal effort, quick dopamine. Modern life demands the opposite. Delayed gratification, sustained effort, long-term thinking. So you have 2 choices. Option 1, keep fighting your biology. Keep believing you're weak when you fail. Keep chasing motivation that fades. Option 2, accept your biology. Design systems that make your brain work for you instead of against you. She pauses, looks at the students. The first option is what society sells you. The second option is what works. The first option keeps you dependent on gurus, books, seminars, motivation. The second option makes you sovereign, systematic, inevitable. One student raises her hand. But doesn't that make us mechanical? Doesn't it remove our humanity? Sofia smiles. The Stoics would say the opposite. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, didn't wait for motivation to rule. He built systems, morning routines, journaling practices, philosophical reflections. Epictetus, born a slave, didn't overcome his bondage through willpower. He built an internal system of thought that made him freer than his masters. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want in the moment. Freedom is designing systems that deliver what you want over time. Humanity isn't fighting against your nature. Humanity is understanding your nature deeply enough to work with it. The class sits in silence. Processing. Sofia knows this feeling, the cognitive dissonance of realizing you've been approaching life wrong. The resistance to admitting that discipline isn't about character. But she also knows those who accept this truth become different. They stop blaming themselves, start building systems, transform from aspiring to inevitable. That evening, Sofia records a short video for her YouTube channel, something she started 6 months ago. She'd hesitated at first. Putting philosophical and scientific truth into the world felt vulnerable. But then she realized, if this knowledge transformed her, it could transform others, and keeping it hidden was selfish. She speaks directly to the camera. If you've made it this far, you understand something most people resist. Discipline is not about being stronger, it's about being smarter in how you design your life. The gentleman philosopher exists for people like you. People who refuse comfortable lies, who seek uncomfortable truths, who understand that philosophy isn't entertainment, it's transformation. Every week I share deeper investigations into human nature, behavioral science, Stoic wisdom, psychological truth. Not motivational content, systematic content. If this resonates, if you see yourself in Sofia's story, if you're ready to stop fighting your biology and start designing systems that work, subscribe to The Gentleman Philosopher. Your subscription isn't just support, it's a vote for truth over comfort, systems over motivation, clear sight over delusion. We're building a community of people who understand the world doesn't need more motivated people. The world needs more systematic people. She pauses. then delivers the final line. Thank you for watching. Thank you for thinking deeply. Thank you for choosing the harder path of genuine wisdom. Until next time, design your systems, because you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. She stops recording, uploads the video, knows it won't go viral, knows it won't get millions of views, but it will reach the right people, the ones ready for truth. And that's enough. Because the goal isn't to be popular. The goal is to be precise. The world needs more philosophers and fewer deluded masses. Choose carefully.